Each year, Microsoft Research hosts hundreds of influential speakers from around the world, including leading scientists, renowned experts in technology, book authors, and leading academics, and makes videos of these lectures freely available.
We're just waiting for our presentation to get on the slides, but I can give a short introduction already, right? So welcome everybody. We hope you're still a little bit fresh to listen to what we have to say. So we're Team 2 Delft from the Netherlands, and we're 5 Design for Interaction students of the Faculty of Industrial Design Engineering in Delft. And today we're going to talk a little bit about a project we did called Lived Life. So my name is Segourney, and together with my colleague Jaap, we're going to tell you the story. So how many of you have used an elevator today? Can I see some hands? Nice, okay. And how many of you can actually identify with the situation illustrated in the picture? Feeling awkward, feeling disconnected. Should I say hi? Shouldn't I say hi? Who's this guy actually? So, and we think the reason for that is that the closed environment does not provide us with the tools to connect. So if we take a look at information in my world, especially information in my social world, we see that nowadays we're connected better than ever. We have Facebook, Twitter, everything. But this connection is more virtual than physical. So we may have 200 Facebook friends, but do we actually know our neighbors?
Well, how do we approach this problem? We did a research method called context mapping. In a context of large apartment buildings. And in Holland, these buildings typically feature people from very different backgrounds, which makes it even harder to make a kind of community of those people and make them feel at home in that building and talk to each other. Well, some things that came from the research were that people actually they have a kind of negative approach to the whole community where they live in, and that makes them actually form prejudices about the people next to them rather than have real contact with those people. So what are we actually talking about? So this is a girl. She lives in this building, and she had a day of shopping, and she goes home, and when she enters the main entrance hall, one of her neighbors is already waiting there and calling the elevator, and she recognizes him, but she doesn't want to talk to him. And when they are in the elevator, she takes out her cell phone, and she has an excuse not to talk to him and have something of a distraction there. And he also sees that. He says, okay, she takes out her cell phone, probably she's doing something. So he doesn't say anything, and it results in this. So what do we take from this to do our project? Well, we don't want to solve this situation or call it a problem or whatever, but we want to enhance the current interactions that are already going on. So to form a concept around this, where we wanted to introduce something that introduces a kind of common ground where people can address to and form a sort of familiarity around that, to have some experience together and build on something together while keeping a kind of anonymous life. So they should feel comfortable with it. Okay, I would like to show you a movie now to illustrate what it is about, and hopefully you will understand what the concept does.
Okay, so moving on, we want to tell you a little bit about the process we did. So the steps we took were very iterative, so trying out small things, and where we started from was just quick and dirty prototyping, just looking into what are the possibilities technology-wise to implement such a thing. And gradually we developed on looking at the different steps people take when using the elevator. So you call the elevator, you step into the elevator, you press your floor, and then you go out. So how can we make this interaction richer for when you're alone, but also for when you're together to improve the awkward situation we mentioned before. So what we started off with is this very personal approach to actually making a picture of somebody, cutting them up in pieces, and then using a part of them to actually make a whole person that represents the building. What we saw then is that people found this very intrusive in a way. They didn't want to share that much personal information with somebody they actually never talked to. So what we did after that is just took a step back and looked at, okay, so what are the qualities we want the concept to exude? And one of them was that people should be able to identify themselves in a situation, but not everybody should know exactly that they are that specific thing. So we made it very abstract and went to colored dots, but then again, you get the feeling that people can identify with it. So how we gradually developed onto this tree is that the tree actually represents a metaphor that we stand behind, that represents growth and the community feeling. So we developed this further and built a prototype. And what we saw with this prototype is that it had this user-to-user interaction, that people were talking to each other. So, oh, funny, this color. And it was done in an exhibition setting, so it wasn't the real setting. So we need to say that specifically, because we didn't really test that. And what we also saw is that people played with it. Some people just took their shoe off and scanned the color of their shoe just to give it a personal effect. But also that people could identify themselves within this colored tree. And so we're going to show you a quick movie again of what we saw here in the exhibition. Can we play movie? So this is our elevator experience. So what's yours? Thank you very much for your attention.
Hello. Oh, brilliant. That's a good idea, isn't it?
That's a brilliant idea.
It's a really good social hack, though. It really is. Like, it's smart, man. Not just putting me in there, but putting a live thing from yesterday in here. It's a really good idea. Presentation style, very smart stuff. So I'll be really quick, but that was great. It's incredibly charming, and that's really important because you come across as very charming people, and the idea is very charming. The insight is, again, very, very potent to me, which is that humanity is a predominantly urban species now, and that only just happened like 2 years ago. So awkward proximity is the default that we're going to live with for the rest of our lives, and we haven't evolved anything like social grammar or to deal with it yet. So this is a really important problem. I liked the fact that you went to the solution and then went back to the iterations. That was fun to expose the workings and how you think and stuff like that. And the flavour was very lovely as well, the design. I like the kind of the tree metaphor, and using colour is an interesting way of basically getting over having an interaction problem, right? So if you had an NFC, RFID, broadcasting keys or whatever, you could get around that really simply. But we don't need that. We can use colour. It'll work just as well with that thought, you know. My only question, I guess, would be, the idea to me isn't the tree or the colour. The idea is elevator, social platform or something, right? And so have you had any thoughts about how you might... I also like you built a prototype and that kind of stuff was cool. Sorry. But yeah, the idea is bigger than the execution, I think, which is that space is unused. It could be used socially, and maybe something, different games or software or visualizations could be part of that going forward. That's all. But yeah, well done. It was great.
Thank you.
See that all right? So actually, what I like about it, yes, the space is broad, but compared to what we've seen the other projects, and it's not
saying this is better or worse. It's just, it's nice to get the variety. That you took a very, very simple idea. And it's not a complex system. And yet you showed that there can be design and serious hard problems, even at this narrow of a domain and such a seemingly simple thing. It's really hard to make things simple, I guess is what I'm saying. And it's a nice illustration of that, and also shows how rich such a simple space can be. And this, my other quick comment is, based on the examples, the shoes, the dominance of shoes in the thing, I'm really glad you used visual color as opposed to olfactory things on the sensor. Okay, but thank you very, very much.
Okay, thank you.
Uitstekend
hoor.
Again, what did you say?
Uitstekend, ja.
Uitstekend, yeah.
Excellent.
Dank u wel. Can you leave this?